What did you grow up with? What kind of thought patterns, what kind of role models did you grow up with?
There are some backwards people who are still around who abuse their women, and in some cases women abusing their men.
Not only in the Muslim community, in communities at large, it's usually a male-dominated community or society.
I know many cultures have this difficulty with awareness issues. You're not even allowed to question things.
For women today, I think we have to compete a lot to have our positions respected.
So today is a conversation about gender for community empowerment. As I said in the opening statement, we were hoping and we believe that the Muslim community, not just here in southeast Queensland, not just in Queensland, but nationally, has some wonderful things to contribute to this nation, this country, Australia.
Basically what we were trying to do is have open the opportunity for the Muslim community to have the gender conversations that we're not having, to have a safe environment that was facilitated, and to actually bring people together who wanted to be engaged in moving things forward in terms of gender conversation. As part of the Domestic Violence Prevention Month, this was one of the things that we wanted to do.
So the workshop today is about gender and having a conversation about gender in our Muslim communities, not just in Queensland but worldwide.
Women and empowerment of women, and how the Muslim woman is perceived generally, where it's made out like she's got no rights whatsoever.
Getting to understand, I would say, complete effective communicating.
To break down that stigma that a woman should be at home, cooking and cleaning, and looking after the kids.
Gender equity and healthy relationships, and it's an issue that's prominent in our community.
The workshop today really talks about let's have those conversations. Let's see how we can best facilitate to what we need here and now.
I learned a lot about the fundamentals of trauma and violence, certain genetic traumatic experiences.
One of the most interesting things that I actually learned quite a bit is the Islamic perspective of this whole workshop. What is the enormous contribution of Muslim women in earlier societies, and what they contributed so much, and now we're trying to get back to that level of higher education.
Today I came to present a presentation on gender-based violence and using a bystander framework, so things that bystanders can do to prevent gender-based violence. It's so applicable to the Muslim community because by virtue of their religious beliefs they already get victimised, and it's because of a real fear base, people having a fear of what they don't know, and attitudes and beliefs that come through the media and other places like that contribute to people just judging what they don't know, I guess. For me, I think this is where we so need to have the conversation.
We approached the subject of domestic violence, which is a very big problem across the board. It doesn't matter what colour, creed or religious group you're in, and how here in Australia it really is a very, very big problem, and how we can also start changing people's attitudes and behaviours towards domestic violence.
We were looking at the issue of verse 434 of the Quran, and if you would have noticed that recently we've had quite a bit of media exposure in this area where they've looked at this issue of 434, and there's constantly the misuse of this verse. What I wanted to say specifically is that verse 434 cannot be used for domestic and family violence. It's actually a specific issue which has a legal implication, and the reason that is so important, this verse specifically talks about when the woman is guilty of nushuz, and nushuz is generally described as where a woman is her behavior is so severe that it actually can create disharmony in the relationship and actually break that relationship. There's another verse in the Quran, verse 128, Surah 4, Surah An-Nisa, verse 128, that actually talks about when a man is nashiz, when a man is guilty of nushuz, what do you actually do?
As someone who is so early in this religion, I don't understand Arabic. I don't wish to comment on a verse that I may be then responsible for misinterpreting.
The duty of a man is really to take care of his family, not just the wife, the children, the parents, whatever.
We believe that God has created men and women different but yet equal. Men, yes, do to extent play certain roles, but that doesn't make the women lost equal to him.
I think the activity that our table got to do was a lot of statements about who's responsible for earning the most money. Is it the man or the woman, or whose responsibility it is to protect the members of the family.
During the workshop, what we did find is that because there's a misunderstanding about gender roles more holistically, people tended to have a very narrow view of what genders should be like. They kind of boxed people. So that it was like, if you're a female, this is what you're meant to be doing. If you're a male, this is what you're meant to be doing. And that's quite often perpetuated by the social norms that exist within society. It's that perpetuates those kind of ideas, and those are the things that we need to be able to have an open and honest discussion about.
We've got different ladies from different cultural backgrounds, and as well as different ideas on what male and female roles are. We found after we've discussed it that a lot of us thought that men's roles would be the traditional strong and the provider and that sort of thing, whereas women were the nurturing.
They pretty much wrote down the stereotypes that men and women are both equal. A woman shouldn't necessarily be called a housewife, and a man shouldn't be called, the provider of the family, because if a circumstances arises and a man can't work and the woman has to be the provider, then she has to be the provider.
Roles have changed in modern society, where men are doing more house type work and looking after the kids, and women are more doing outside type of work. You've seen women doing labor work, being engineers, architects.
I found it really interesting actually, because you'd think that different cultures from all over the world would have different gender roles, but they were surprisingly similar, and even the ways that they changed when we came to Australia were very similar. We need to identify what the gender roles are before we can change that. We need to identify the shifts, and the fact that these shifts are so common makes that a little bit easier to start redefining them and moving in a positive direction with them.
You know what I found the most interesting was that this room was full of people who are active, effective bystanders already. I am going away from today feeling really empowered and inspired by the Muslim community and the work that they're trying to do to end gender-based violence, and that they are really prepared to have this conversation where other cohorts aren't so prepared.
I feel the biggest awareness comes from knowing that you need to be aware. Because if you're not aware of something, you are not going to be able to transform yourself.
I believe that gender equality should be improved in the Muslim society.
I think people's ideas should change, knowledge, they should be educated, and because women are contributing not only as much as men are, but even more, they should be regarded as equals and treated fairly. That's all women want, is to be treated fairly.
They can actually speak up, and these are conversations that they can even probably start with the communities.
If you stick to what Islam says, you all have equality and freedom.
The Prophet has said, regard to your wives, fear God and take care of them, and the best amongst you is the one who takes care of his wife the most.
We're hoping that will be something that, it will actually increase that conversation where in your circle of concern, your power of influence, each one of us has that it continues on that conversation to be able to address this issue of domestic and family violence in a more broader way, in a more community coordinated response, inshallah.